here we go. The Downward Facing Spiritual Spiral podcast. Thrilled you're here today listening. You know me, of course, I'm Eddie Cohn, host, creator of the show. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at Eddie Cohn, or, of course, the Spiritual Spiral podcast on Instagram. Really excited for today's show. I have a wonderful guest. He's been on the show a few times. My friend Matt Dery. Met in high school. We're still in touch 30, 40 years later, it feels like. It's been a long time. But I always love talking to Matt about sports, but also sort of how sports intersects with life. You can find Matt. He's really big on Twitter, at Dery Speaks, but he also has a few podcasts for the Pistons, the Lions, also one with his brother Todd, talking about the Cleveland Indians. But you can find Matt at Dery Speaks on Twitter. We talk a little bit about the NBA Finals. We also talk about equality in our society and culture, but I do want to tell a brief story or tell a couple quick things in the intro here before you listen to the conversation. I wake up today, by the way, last night was Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Incredible game. I love basketball. So I wake up today and the first story that I see on my phone, on my iPhone, is a fan at the Red Sox-Yankees game threw a ball at one of the players. I don't remember if it was a Yankees or if it was a Yankee or a Red Sox player, but basically the story is a fan throws a baseball at a player. And I think the coach was thinking, brought all of his players into the dugout, thinking possibly that they're going to cancel the game or forfeit the game. So that is the leading story on my feed, on my phone. And of course, part of me thinks, well, maybe it's the algorithm of what I'm already watching, which I don't think is the case because I typically am not interested in those kind of stories. So I do call a friend of mine and ask him, what's the first story that's showing up on his feed on his phone? And sure enough, it's the same story. So here we have this amazing finals that's going on, and I realize it's not big market teams, but we have this great game last night. Instead of talking about the amazing game that's happening last night or that happened last night, the lead story in Apple News or whatever medium is sharing the sports for Apple News is some idiot fan is throwing a baseball at a player. And so I bring this up because, we point fingers at human beings, at human nature, at our culture, and sort of the insane behavior of human beings. But I have the sense, I like to point the finger at the media. Who is deciding to post those stories? Who is making the decision to post that story over how great the NBA was or how great the NBA Finals was? What I think we should be doing, we should be investigating who is running these media corporations, who is making these decisions. And I think a lot of times people will say, well, maybe it's just the algorithm. But I think the algorithm is not innocuous when it's being led or driven by money and advertising. I think if we are relying on the algorithm, then the intention is nefarious. It's evil. And I think it's leading people down directions and paths that ultimately gets into sort of the carnal and salacious instincts of human beings. And it's messy. And I think also what's ironic here is that if a fan ever runs onto the field of a ball game, the camera doesn't show that person doing that. And the reason is because they don't want people to get the idea that they can go onto the court and just run around. So it's kind of ironic, don't you think? The media knows that if they show things on television, people may get the idea that they should do them themselves. So knowing that, who is making the decisions on what people should be seeing and watching? I feel like we're looking at it all the wrong way. And I talk about this word equality on the show, and I'm going to keep talking about it, I think, over my next few episodes. I have some great guests lined up. Before the talk with Matt, my last point, just watch this amazing conversation between Oprah Winfrey and Elliot Page, who used to be Ellen Page. She's now Elliot Page. And they also talk about equality. Is equality even possible? We're trying to fix all of these things that are happening in the world that are pretty disgusting happening right now. Can they be fixed? Can we create a utopian world? And I wonder, do we have to just come to terms with this idea that human beings are incredibly complicated? They're wonderful, but also filled with vitriol. And are we looking at it all the wrong way? I think, when Oprah and Elliot talk about this, they talk about how so many of people's assumptions towards other people are based on what they've seen in the movies, in the TV world. So here's the media and all these Hollywood stars complaining about our culture, pointing fingers and saying all these things that are wrong with it, which I agree with. But isn't the irony here that a lot of people's impressions and prejudices that have been created are ironically created by the entertainment industry? These are sort of some areas that I'm interested in talking about over the next few weeks. Certainly talk about it with Matt. My next few guests also lined up. I'm going to be talking about these areas as well. I just think we need to be a little bit more aware about how we're consuming. I mean, if you were doing nothing but watching violent video games all day, what is that going to do to your headspace? If you're on Twitter all day, what is that going to do? Again, it's just some ideas that I'm wrapping my head around. You know where to find me: Instagram at Eddie Cohn or the Spiritual Spiral Podcast. Matt Dery, my guest, at Dery Speaks on Twitter. I have a bunch of new music that's coming out. eddiecohn.bandcamp.com, the website IamEddieCohn.com. And that's it. Matt, thanks so much for joining me on the show again. As always, to you, thank you so much for listening, supporting, and being a part of the Downward Facing Spiritual Spiral podcast.
Happening, my man?
What's the latest? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm good, man. Feeling good? Yeah, feeling good. Feeling strong.
I saw they just put a new mask mandate out in California, huh?
Boy, you just want to get right into it, don't you?
No. We're not taping yet. Don't start yet.
No, we have. We're already taping. No, hey, man. It's,
no.
It's fine.
No, we're not.
Well, I can delete.
No.
I can delete that. No, we'll talk masks. We'll talk life. We'll talk sports.
No.
It's fine. But I gotta say, it is the end of the world that the world that you and I ever knew. It's over, man. I really believe that.
It's over.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know. Strong words.
You think so? Huh?
Well, I think I meet people in their 20s, late teens, who are like they won't go out in public without a mask on. I think the mental brainwashing, I'm look, Matt, I'm being honest here. I think there's fears and anxieties every day. I think
Sure.
you and I have a better chance of getting into a car accident and dying than we do having anything seriously happening to us from COVID. And now that is actually
do we really have to have this conversation?
No.
I was just messing with you about the mask.
No, I know, but here's the thing: fear is. I'll just say this: fear is powerful. You can get anybody to do anything if they're scared. And we'll just leave it at this. I'm not being conspiratorial. I believe that there's something out there that exists. But I guess this will relate to my point when it comes to sports. I want to talk about reaction. We live in such a reactionary world, and it's all about the reaction. The phones are, let me make a quick point then, because I'm going to go down a few rabbit holes here. The phones.
Are you going on your phone rant again?
No, but here's the thing. The phones and the videos, they always show the reaction. They never show what caused whatever you're seeing on on the video, and it always turns into a he said, she said. So I want to bring up Chris Paul and Patrick Beverley. We sort of touched on it a little bit. So, the last game, Patrick Beverley.
Hold on. You're like shot out of a cannon.
You're the one.
Are you supposed to like introduce yourself, or am I?
No, that's the intro. That's the intro. I'll record that later.
You're making an entire intro out of this. Okay.
Oh, no.
I'm along for the ride.
No. I'm going to record.
You know how many fucking podcasts I host, Eddie? Me being a guest on someone else's show, this is great. I don't have to do anything.
Oh yeah, no, don't worry. I recorded intro before all this. But you kind of. But your time is limited, so I just want to jump in.
All right.
So I want to talk about reaction. This is all I think about culturally, how we've reacted, and to me it makes no sense. But then I bring up this Chris Paul Patrick Beverley story because last series, Patrick Beverley shoves Chris Paul in the back, and so
there were a lot of people that enjoyed that.
But here's the thing, the media goes nuts over, Patrick Beverley should never have done that. And while that possibly could be true, we all know that Chris Paul said something to get him to react that way. And it's weird, but we live in this world where we don't want to talk about what anybody says or does that causes these bizarre reactions.
Yes. I don't know. If this is a Friday, you are fired up, first of all.
Ready to go.
To see you.
Yes.
There's a lot of bald people. There's a lot of bald men out there.
Okay.
But many of them are like, I'm bald and you're an attractive bald man.
Oh,
can I say that?
Thank you.
It's and I'm not just saying that because you and I have known each other for.
Are you avoiding my question?
I'm going to get to it.
Okay.
I'm talking now. Stop.
This is a good point. No, but I want to bring that's a good point. Go ahead.
So yes, the point is you're right. We spend a lot of time just reacting and not taking in everything first. For example, Richard Sherman. Okay, this is in the news, right?
Yes.
Did you hear about this?
Yes.
So Richard Sherman is having some emotional problems, and he's lost it. So he gets drunk, comes home, tries to break into his in-laws' house. Somehow his wife calls the police and says, get some help over here. So everyone's like, Richard Sherman, I knew he was a bad guy. And he comes out 24 hours later. So the first reaction was, oh my gosh, domestic violence, driving while intoxicated. What a freak. He comes out 24. So that's the reaction right away without anybody thinking, you're right, Eddie, maybe something's wrong with him. Maybe he is having some mental or emotional problems.
Right.
Maybe we can wait and get the entire story before we react. But Twitter and, and the phone, so I get it. So now 24 hours later, Sherman comes out and says, I'm sorry. I'm going through a really rough time. What I did was wrong. And I'm going to get some help. And I'm appreciative of the people that love me. And I need some help. And it's almost like, wow, what a good guy. Like he came forward and said, I screwed up. I messed up. So the reaction now is different than it was 24 hours ago. So your Chris Paul point is correct. At first it was, what a cheap shot. How did somebody 2 hands to the back? You could have really injured the guy. But then in reality, if you talk to people, and you and I have talked all the time, I have a lot of NBA contacts. I know plenty of people around the league that have never liked Chris Paul, that have said, hey, there's a reason why he's been on like 5 teams, and others love him. But there you go. I mean, that's sometimes how it goes, but it's not we'll eventually get the full story after this whole thing's over, and they'll probably jump to the Knicks next year. Just watch.
I'm having a hard time I have to say, I really enjoyed the finals. I can't root for Phoenix. I think it's because of Chris Paul.
Really?
I think it's Chris Paul.
Yeah.
I really think whoever's his PR person, whoever's controlling sort of the narrative of what people should think about, I think has done a great job, because I sort of look below all of that, and I don't like him. I don't like the way he plays. I think he's he's a bully out there. I don't like it. I can't root.
He's definitely devious.
Yes.
If you go back and remember, even going back to his college days at Wake Forest and then his early NBA career, he was a bit of a cheap shot artist. He used to slide his foot under other guys' legs, so when they landed, they would turn their ankle. He has done some pretty devious things over the years. Now it's a nice story because these teams are so young. the Bucks and the Suns that a veteran, for the casual fan, they're going, wait, Bucks, Suns, finals? Who the hell are on these teams? Oh, Chris Paul, I know him because he's 36 and he was on Lock out by you, and he was on Houston with Harden. So he's been around. And the Suns, I've known Willie Green for a long time. When I was the play-by-play voice at the University of Detroit Titans for many years, I called every single one of Willie Green's games. He's an assistant with the Suns. He's now about to get the head coaching job with the Pelicans. And you will not find a better person in life than Willie. And Willie swears by Chris Paul. Swears by him. It's like his big brother, or little brother. I think Willie's a little bit older than him, but I think that because he's a recognizable name, you either rooting for him or against him. But people that are really into the NBA don't love that he's a part of that banana boat crew with D Wade and LeBron, but then there's others rooting for him just because he's never won a title and he never could get over the hump, and now he's 2 wins away.
Yeah. Who do you want to win?
I'm rooting for Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And it's funny. John Bloom, who does pre and post game for the Suns and play by play. I went to college with John. John lived here in Detroit, and worked with me in Detroit. So he does the Suns stuff. He loves the Suns, so I want the Suns to do well for him. I know Willie, but I'm rooting for Milwaukee just because one of my buddies, Chad Forcier, is an assistant with the Bucks, and I don't know, they're kind of this nondescript. I think Giannis is a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Too. I'm kind of rooting for Giannis, but I don't hate Phoenix. I mean, if they won, it wouldn't bother me either. I think Monty Williams is awesome, and what he went through personally and everything years ago, that'd be a nice story too. But the games, it takes me a second, Eddie, to remember that the games are on.
Right.
Because this is not like a LeBron in the finals or Lakers or Michael-led Bulls or whatever, or the Warriors, which were fun to watch. I know a lot of people, especially back home in our hometown of Cleveland, just hate Golden State. I thought the way the Warriors played was awesome for the game. So I don't hate them at all, but they're not in it. So this is a tough sell for the casual fan, Milwaukee and Phoenix.
Yeah.
What about you? You root for the Bucks?
Yeah, I think the Chris Paul factor is really.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I also think Devin Booker, I think, is amazing, but there is something. He does have that sort of spoiled, bratty thing going on. I just
really, you think?
I pick up.
Well, what about that foul the other night? That was the sixth. I mean, he
had like 9 fouls.
I've never seen a guy score 40 and get 7 or 8 fouls.
Yeah, look, the guy is. Guy's an amazing talent. I love watching him, but there is this strange sort of spoiled Cleveland like brattiness about him. I know he's not from Cleveland, but I don't know.
He's amazing. He's actually from my state. He's actually from Michigan.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Yeah, he's a good player.
All the Devin Booker fans out there are going to hate me now.
He's pretty sweet. That team's going to be good for a long time. Whether they have CP3 next year or not, they got a good young nucleus and some guys on very cheap rookie contracts for a little while, like 2 Cams. They're going to be good for a while. That's a good team.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. They're fun to watch. They are fun to watch.
I was kind of thinking when you brought up the bald comment about me. By the way, thank you. No, but this is something that I've been thinking about. This isn't really sports related, but this kind of goes to Chris Paul, though. Also, I wonder if he's the way he is because he's always been sort of short compared to a lot of the other players that he used to play with in the playground before the NBA. And, you bring up me being bald, and I think about this word equality. And I know there's like all these programs and initiatives and corporations are trying to make everything equal. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. It's like tall people a lot of times have bigger advantages than little people. A lot of bald men are insecure and feel like they're less confident as men with a full head of hair.
That's natural.
I guess so. Like, at what point? So, are we going to start doing initiatives for bald men and short people because they?
Oh God!
No, but like, at what point? Like, I guess here's my point.
You're taking this way. You're taking this way too far.
No. Here, let me bring up my point. I don't think equality is possible. It's impossible.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's an impossibility. And I think somehow we need to get comfortable with this idea that, something, there's some things that people are gonna be better than you at some things. People are gonna be given advantages that you're not gonna get. I don't know. I think life is just really freaking hard and random. And
Well, remember that conversation we had a couple weeks ago. We were talking about Rick Carlisle getting the Pacers job, and there were some people on Rick for saying, "Wait, you're the president of the Basketball Coaches Association,
Right.
and you're preaching equality, like you said, or opportunities for African American coaches, female coaches, whatever. Yet you jump right from one job, Dallas, to the Pacer job within days, and the Pacers didn't interview anybody else. Wait a minute. Remember in the NFL, we got the Rooney Rule, like black coaches got to get jobs, and we got to interview everybody. And it's like, wait a minute, hold on. In this instance, the Pacers, who have a good team, who had a shit coach this last year, this rookie Nate Bjorkgren, who was a disaster, no business coach. They fire him after 1 year and go, what we need is a real coach. Here's Rick, who won a ring with the Mavs, who in 01-02, and I watched every game and I worked for the team, he did the best coaching job I've ever seen at any level in any sport. With the 2001-2002 Pistons, where Eddie, as a basketball fan, you probably couldn't name anybody on that team. They won 50 fucking games.
Yeah.
And Rick was coach of the year, and you went, wait a minute. It's Jerry Stackhouse, Ben Wallace, before he was Ben Wallace,
Right.
Chucky Atkins, Damon Jones, Zelly Rabracha, and Michael Curry. And you're going, how the hell they win 50 games? Because this guy came in and coached.
Yeah.
So my original point is the Pacers went out and got him. They knew him. He coached there before. He was an assistant there before. This is his third time back. So then people go, oh, wait a minute. President of the Basketball Coaches Association, who says everybody's got to get equal opportunities, is just jumping at a job, and he's a white coach. It's like, hold on a second. Can we back off the equality on this instance?
Yes, totally.
Because this is a guy, white, black, female, male, whatever. He's the best guy. Now, the Blazers hired an African-American coach. The Celtics hired an African-American coach. The Magic just hired an African-American coach. These females, Becky Hammon is going to get a job eventually. And so there's like, I see what you're saying is not every instance do we have to play the card. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes I think, are we getting to a place where the best qualified person is no longer potentially the person that's going to get the position? It's because people are more worried / thinking about making sure everybody has an equal opportunity. But I just often think that's just an impossibility.
We should already be there. African-American coaches, female coaches, CEOs. I mean, the other day I was doing an interview from a podcast at my office at Financial Architects, and the show is called Inside Financial Architects, and people can find it wherever you get your podcasts. And I was interviewing this guy, Damon, who owns a business in the city of Detroit. It's called Guest, G-E-S-T, Guest Carts, and it's basically like free Uber. Mm-hmm. Or free Lyft around the city. And you can go from a restaurant to a ball game and they'll pick you up. And about halfway through the podcast, I realized, you know what? I have to do this, but it wasn't on top of mind. I'm going to ask Damon about being a black-owned business owner in the city. It was one question. I brought it up because the city of Detroit is highly African-American, at least many of the folks that live there. I wanted to mix that in, but it wasn't the first question. And I know so many African-American business owners in Detroit. I know Hispanic business owners. But I wanted to still mix it in because I wanted to have that conversation and ask them about it. But it was one question. I didn't spend the entire podcast going, hey, what's it like being a black-owned business owner? Because I don't want to be that cliche host that checks off the box. I'm just 2021 guy that knows I got black friends, white friends, Mexican, Hispanic friends, Asian friends. I know people of all, and it just came natural to me to have a conversation with the guy. It caught me about halfway through. I should ask that. But
you know what's interesting?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I'm very similar to you, and I think I bring this point up because I have so many different. I have friends from. I don't have many friends, but I have friends from many different cultures, and it's weird when I look at people. I'm not thinking about skin color, race. I don't. Right. But my attitude is I actually have a curiosity towards other cultures and other people. I get excited living in a city where there's so many different races and cultures. And we went to Texas to check it out about 5 months ago. And I got to say immediately, the one thing that I was unimpressed by, and there was actually a few things, it was just very flat culturally. I mean, it was just basically predominantly one race. And I like the multilingual, multicultural areas. It's exciting. It's fresh. I think it adds something, and I have this curiosity towards it. And it's strange. I don't understand people that don't feel the way you and I do.
I know. I don't either. And I think it's a shame, and it might be upbringing. It might be parents. It makes me sad. I mean, I just, I don't get it either. I mean, we all are supposed to be in this thing together, especially now after the last 15 months. And we are at a point now in our country and in society, it's just so divisive. And you hear stuff now and you're like, what is this, the 60s? What is this, the 50s? Like, are you serious with that conversation? And it's like, it's sad, it's, doesn't make any sense, man.
Yeah.
Let's just love each other and,
yeah,
and live and enjoy it. You only get to do this thing one time.
I'm a little concerned now. I have anxiety, leaving the house now, and I think it's something that I dealt with and got over through just vacations and trips and forcing myself to go to other countries and go to other cultures because it's weird. I feel this. I don't know if I'm projecting. I don't think I am because I do speak to other friends who feel it too, but there does feel like there's this sort of ripple of anxiety in the air.
Oh, no question. And for our kids, I have 3, and my stepson, who's 18, had a lousy junior and senior year of high school. He didn't get to go to homecoming, didn't get to go to prom. Everything was pretty much shut down for the last year and a half. My son, who's going to be a sophomore at Indiana University, he is, me, Eddie, we've known each other forever. All he wanted to do was go to like a Big Ten school and go to football and basketball games.
Yeah.
He attended 0 football games, and Indiana had their best football season in 70 years. And then, he had to watch the games in his dorm. And then basketball, he did a few games on the radio for the student station as a freshman. So he got to actually be in the arena, but this whole thing was ruined, and so he made the best of it. AJ, my stepson, he's doing the best he can do. My daughter, who's 16, rough year, because once you shut down schools and hey, we're going to homeschool or we're going to do it on Zoom, but you're not having that interaction with others. You're not talking to your friends. You're not seeing them. It's hard on these kids, man. It is hard, and it's going to take a while to get that generation back up and running again. Where you're right, you brought up the word anxiety. It's there. My daughter struggles with it. It's hard, and so you're right. You're thinking, you see the one guy that's walking through the Kroger or the Meijer with no mask on, going, "We're back, we're open," and he's snotting away, and and then you get the woman next to him in the mask going, "Oh my God," taking hand sanitizer, and like dousing herself in it. So
right.
There's such a roller coaster right now, and I see both sides of it. But what you said, you had anxiety going out of the house because of COVID or because of the hate people have? Like, what is it?
Yeah, it's like kind of, I'll try and be brief here. I've had this stance about COVID because I think I came from a place of having health conditions. I came from having anxiety, germophobia, hypochondriacal behavior. So it's sort of like I've battled through all of that. And it's sort of like, wait, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole anymore because I know how easy it is.
You were dealing with that in high school.
Totally. So it's like, I just got to the other side of that mountain. It was like a freaking 10, 20-year mountain. And so the whole world wants us all to be like me. Because, you think, not you, one thinks that I'm being insane to have this stance. But I am telling you, this world just created about 1 million to 5 million more hypochondriacs, germaphobes.
Who's the guy that was on the game show with Howard Stern?
Oh, yeah, Howie Mandel.
Howie Mandel, he won't touch anything.
No. So, I mean, to your point, is that a healthy way
Way to feel.
of
Yeah.
living it, and I certainly don't think it is. And you asked me something else, and I suddenly forgot. Shoot, I forgot my point.
No, when you said anxiety leaving your house.
Oh, okay, exactly. Yeah. So I think it's just this strange. I'm feeling less hopeful about and less positive about human beings, like as good people. I know it sounds sort of
No, I don't
misanthropic.
blame you.
Yeah, and I'm
I don't
not.
blame you.
Look, I'm a healthy guy. I take vitamins. I exercise every day. I know I'm in good health. So the COVID thing is not top of mind. But there's still this strange. It feels like anybody could just go off on me at any moment. Sometimes
Well, no, my brother went to an Indians game a couple of weeks ago, and this was when I still think they had a mandate on the attendance,
right.
and they were distancing people in the stadium, but they were just trying to get people back to the ballpark. I mean, here he is taking his daughter, who is my niece, is 12, 11, 12, and she loves the game. She loves baseball. I mean, how many 11 or 12-year-old girls do you know that love baseball? She's into the Tribe. Todd loves the team, as you know, and you know the Indians have about 10 hardcore watch every game fans out there. Your mother is one of them. I'm one of them, and my brother's one.
Todd.
So, and my buddy Jeremy. So you're talking about, I know a handful of them. So he takes his daughter to the game, and the whole game was just this asshole 2 sections over, just screaming at the other team and saying things over and over again and calling guys names and making fun of stuff. And he wanted to turn to this guy and go, shut up.
Yeah.
But then he's like, is this guy going to come over and start beating on me? Like,
You don't
if you
know.
go to a ball game and we're released into the wild again after 15 months, why are you going to the game and acting like an idiot? Like, so you're right. You just never know, especially in LA, where it's like you get out there and there's going to be some crazy just deciding that you're his target. Well, but that's not how we were raised. That's not how it was a little while ago. I mean,
I
live in an area out here in Michigan that is, some people call it Trump country. Okay.
Right.
And so there are some people here that every Saturday they go to this corner of the street and they wave their flags. They wear their red hats and they get angry.
Yeah.
They get angry. It's like if a guy's just walking past them going to the Rite Aid on the corner, is that guy going to get harassed just because he wants to walk by some people and not have any opinion either way? Maybe he voted for him, maybe he didn't. But like, if he doesn't join in, they're going to just start beating on him. Like, what? That's not what we're supposed to be all about.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, really quick. Yeah, it's funny. I went to play golf for the first time a month ago, and I'm out there chipping on the chipping green. I haven't played in like 20 years. I finally go
Are
out.
you serious?
I finally go out to play.
You always could play. You were
Yeah.
pretty good.
So I stunk this time, but so I'm chipping on literally my third chip, and then some guy, he looks up to me and he goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "What are you talking about? I'm chipping in that hole." He goes, "What hole?" I go, "The one right where you're standing." He goes, "You need to ask me where you're going to go first before you start chipping." And I'm like, "What? Are you serious?" And then he had this look in his eye where
Oh, God.
if I told him to fuck off or said something, not even that extreme, but if I had said something, he was going to throw his golf club at me. I mean, it feels like that could happen.
Everybody's ready to fight.
Yes, I feel that.
Oh,
And
man.
I don't know. It's strange, So
That's great. That's crazy.
oh, I know what this is my last point, and then I'll let you go. Oh, here comes my cat. Hang on, hang on.
Wow, look at that. It's live on.
Say hi to Matt.
So I forgot you're a cat. Didn't you have dogs when you were a kid?
Yeah, we had a dog when I was a kid.
What was your dog's name?
Coco. You hated Coco.
Oh, Coco.
You hated that dog.
Yes.
You hated
what a
that
legend.
dog. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
you never
gosh.
liked Coco. You weren't a dog person. You always hated dogs.
No, still not. Still
Yeah,
not. I went
okay.
over to a friend's house a couple weeks ago, and the dogs were attacking. I was
Yeah.
standing there. I'm like, you don't like dogs? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't either. My kids love them, love them.
Okay, let me focus here. Nelly, what are you doing? So this is the other thing I was thinking when you were talking. I think also we're reacting the way we are in these sort of frenzied states of mind, and you don't know how people are going to react, because I think the world has sort of turned into this combination of MTV music video and like the ticker tape at the bottom of like CNN, where just, everything is just flooded at people. You have no idea what John just read on YouTube or watched on YouTube next to you. You have no idea what Jennifer was doing 5 hours ago on Snapchat. You have no idea what Jimmy and Joe were paying attention to on some weird website. Back 15, 20 years ago, there was 3 or 4 networks. There was one newspaper in Cleveland, and there was sort of like this common ground where, granted, there were idiots even 20 years ago, clearly, but it feels like you're running into a situation now where you have no idea what's getting somebody emotionally enraged. You don't know what their experience was. I don't know. I think that is part of the reason why it feels like chaos could sort of just unfold at any moment.
Yeah, the information that you can get and how available it is, it's pretty remarkable. Like I mentioned the Richard Sherman story earlier. Gosh, within 5 or 6 hours of it happening, the 911 call was already on Twitter. Like, wow,
That's
this
scary.
guy's entire personal business. And yes, that's a public thing, and you could FOIA it, and it's recorded, and I get it, but it's amazing how people just are starving for information and the next thing, that you can't, like you said, we're sports fans, and you watch a game, and then the next minute it's, all right, is the game the story, or is what's going to happen in the press conference the story? The U.S. The U.S. Olympic basketball team, they've lost like a couple of games in the preseason or these exhibition games. So people are up in arms. How can the U.S. lose? Well, number one, it's not the dream team, right? This isn't Magic, Bird, Jordan, and that group anymore. It's, JaVale McGee just got added to the team. That should tell you something.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, and I'll let you go after this. How much do you place any blame on the media, or do you place the blame on human nature? Because I do believe the media is specifically choosing things that they think are going to sort of like get people's attention, or do you think?
Well,
I don't know.
I do think, yes, I do think there are media members who are more entertainers than actual media people. Stephen A. Smith makes $8 million a year from ESPN. He's an entertainer. He is damn entertaining. I don't particularly like him, but I get why he's a hot commodity. I get why people want to hear his hot takes. He's an entertainer. But then people will tie that into the real reporters and say, well, Stephen A. Smith said this, and how dare him? He's a journalist. Stephen used to be a journalist. He was a damn good one when he covered the Sixers for the Philadelphia paper. I think it was the Inquirer. But now he's an entertainer. And we're having a very difficult time differentiating between reporters and journalists and entertainers. It's a huge issue. My friend Mike Valeni is the best local sports talk host I know. I think he's fabulous. He works at 97.1 The Ticket here in Detroit. He does afternoon drive. He's fantastic. I worked with him for 4 years. Mike always said, I'm not a journalist. If I hear a rumor through a guy, I'm going to bring it up on the show, and it's going to be entertaining. If the team doesn't like that I brought that up, I don't cover the team. I'm not a journalist. I'm entertaining you. Now, if he says something that is personal or slanderous or libel, he could be in some trouble. But there's that distinction we can't get through. And I think there are some journalists who are trying sometimes to be entertainers and trying to get their name out there. This Joe Varden guy, he was pushing Pop's buttons the other night, Popovich. And Popovich is like, you going to let me talk? You let me finish? And there's people that don't like Joe Varden. But then there's people that don't like Pop. But that was an entertaining thing to watch. For me, I'm watching, I go, whoa, look at Popovich. But see that distinction? We have a hard time with it. I think there are some journalists going, I'm funny, I'm great. Let me do something crazy. It's like, well, why don't you stay in your lane and cover the games and not be the story?
Yeah.
It's a tough call. It's a tough call.
Popovich is this interesting guy, as you saying it. Like, is he just an asshole, or it's weird. Like, I've seen the way he treats reporters, and
Yeah.
God, I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, I hear your point, but part of me
I
also
know.
thinks,
I know people that just swear by the guy, like just say deep down, away from all of this, he just drinks wine, has a good family, is a good guy, cares so much. Tim Duncan was giving his acceptance speech. I watched it at the Hall of Fame a couple months ago, and he broke down in tears talking about how Greg
Yeah.
Popovich saved his life and was a father figure and a mentor for him. But then you're right. Then you watch that press conference the other day, and you go, "Why is he being such a dick to that reporter?"
no.
So it kind of is what makes the NBA very entertaining. There is always some sort of story and sidebar. And baseball just had their All-Star game, and I watched every pitch of it. It was boring.
I can't believe you
and
did
there was
that.
nothing. It was like once Ohtani left the game, it was, what time is it? Why am I still watching this? No, there was nothing else on. I watched, but boy, was that boring.
Yeah.
But you never get that with the NBA. There's always some sort of sidebar. There's always some player that might be dating one of the Jenners or one of the Kardashians. And there might be, in the NBA, it's just, there's always something good. Today I saw, somebody made a comment about slow day in the NBA. Who cares about the finals? It's Bucks and Suns. And then Damian Lillard wants to be traded, and he's going to make a statement. There's always somebody wanting to be traded, wanting to be moved.
Yeah.
Something's going on, the Popovich thing. Every day the NBA is an unbelievable soap opera. Always entertaining.
Well, Matt, this is awesome. It's great to see you. It's great to do a podcast.
You too, buddy.
It's great to do a podcast where you don't have to do any of the work. Just have to listen to my questions.
What do you got this weekend? What's going on out in LA?
We're going. A friend of ours is having a birthday party, so we're gonna do karaoke on Saturday night.
Oh wow,
Yeah, and then,
that's right in your wheelhouse. I mean, you could really sing. I mean, you're an artist.
It's
so.
weird. I don't do the karaoke thing though. It's weird. Maybe I
You don't like
yeah.
you wouldn't after a couple of glasses of wine maybe do a little Bruce Springsteen Glory Days or something like that. I don't know. I mean, we all know like Michael Jackson. Like
Yeah. Well, if I drink wine, I would probably get like I'm allergic to grapes, so I can't drink wine anymore.
Are you really?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I tell people all the time. I'm like, I had this high school friend and he had, what kind of arthritis was it? Was it JRA?
Yeah, the bad kind.
Very early on in his life. And,
Yeah.
And you went out to California. You've never left.
No.
And it's awesome.
Yeah,
It's,
man.
Good for you, man. I'm glad you're doing well.
Things are good. And what podcast are you doing right now for whom?
So I'm waiting on the Pistons to get back to me.
Okay.
I got to do something today or tomorrow for their show. That one's on their website on Pistons.com.
Okay.
My Locked On Lions show I do Monday through Thursday, so I was off of that today. I did our company's podcast 2 days ago, Inside Financial Architects, kind of a nice business podcast, and we talked to several different people. My brother and I will be doing the Dery Brothers Tribe Cast again on Monday, recapping the weekend. I know you'll be up late tonight watching Tribe A's.
Yes.
At least I will be. And that's it. That's it. I just have a quick call with a colleague at 4:15 here, and I'm going to start my weekend. I got some laundry going upstairs. It doesn't get any better.
Nice, dude. Hey, man, life is good at home. It's not that there's nothing wrong.
All right.
Yeah,
it's
nothing
all right.
wrong with staying home all day. It's just things
right.
I'm noticing. Well, Matt, I appreciate it, dude. This will go live probably early next week.
All right, Eddie.
Later, dude.
See you, buddy.
Good seeing you, man.
All right.
Bye.